Stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy, and I want to welcome you to this episode of the Unpleasant Blind Guy on the Exceptional Conservative Show. Now remember, if you want to contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, Awesome American suggestions, I'm available at UBG Contact on Twitter, or I can also be found as Dave Milner or Agador, that's Aggedor, on Mublet, the Tea Party Community, Spreely, Minds, MeWe, or Gab. Now let's begin.
Yes, Dave Milner is in the crib. Yes, Dave Milner, a consummate professional. You're talking about one of the most esteemed conservative commentators on the air. You can find him at English Defense League on Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio and also on Spreaker through SHR Media. Hopefully soon he'll be on our network. I'm looking forward to working out the contract agreements. Apparently, he's a high draft pick, so it's going to cost a lot. But, you know, we got to do what we got to do. Dave Milner is a great friend of mine, and I'm so glad to have him on the air with me tonight. Want to introduce to some, present to others, a great American, Dave Milner. Good evening, sir. Great pleasure to have you here.
Good evening, Ken. It is a Wuhan pleasure to be here with you tonight, my friend. You know,
racist.
Absolutely. You know, I gotta tell you a quick story. Monday, had to have a tooth dealt with, so I'm standing outside the free clinic, feeling about as good as you might expect. Okay, but you know, okay. Waiting about half an hour for the cab. I'm still all right, but the temperature Monday got up to about 65 degrees up here in Burlington, Vermont, in Bernie country. And so I got some kind of ragweed or something up my nose, and I began sneezing and blowing my nose and just, doing all that stuff. You don't want to be that guy during this Wuhan flu crisis standing by the free clinic.
Oh my God! What you needed was a bottle of Perel, man. Perel, some toilet paper, saying, I can help y'all. I can hook you up.
Exactly. Yeah. I needed about a dozen rolls of toilet paper. Yeah. Oh my Lord.
I'm telling you, anybody who has stock in Clorox, you're doing quite well now, boy. Lots of bleach being sold in America today. I want to ask you here, Dave, because there are a number of things we want to talk about tonight with you. But first and foremost, churches are closing. Churches in America are closing. I want to ask you, do you feel that this might be a Marxist way of taking advantage of people because of the Wuhan flu?
Well, it certainly could be one. I mean, you see this happening with certain things. They want to close down the churches, but of course they don't want to close down the grocery stores where the people are just going in and out all the time and all this kind of thing. And you're seeing, this is something I noticed earlier, all of these governors and mayors that are limiting the number of people that can get together. That's something else they're doing. Okay. Yeah. They all seem to be, a lot of them, most if not all of them, seem to be Democrats, if you have noticed this.
Yeah.
So this is another, I think, means that they have of trying to slow the economy. Ken, I said this, I would have told you this last week, but unfortunately you were away. But I said to many people months ago that what the Democrats were going to try and do was that they were going to try and create a trigger event that would do harm to the economy this month or next, so that it would have a ripple effect and affect the greatest number of people by November. If they believed in God, I would say that the Democrat rulers are rubbing their hands in glee at this point because they're taking 100% full advantage of this. Am I close to the mark for you?
No, I think you're right on target. I really think that this is an attack on the American people's constitutional rights. I really believe it is a subtle way for individuals to ease up and slight our beliefs, our harmony with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is not the role of government to tell churches to shut down. And yet, churches across the country are shutting. If I want to be someplace where I know that God exists, and that he hears my cry, and that he will answer my plea, what better place to be than in a church? I don't know. What better place? You give out condoms in a church. Why not give a test in a church and see if you got coronavirus? What better place? That would be
a great place to hand out tests. You know yourself, Ken, because of people you've interviewed and all that churches have been foci, you could say, for community activities since before this country began, and it's continued. There are, thankfully, there are churches around this nation that are helping pregnant women who want to have their children and not abort, and they're helping them with schools, with job training, with all sorts of wonderful services. And yeah, why not have the test kits at churches and tell people, hey, go to your local church, get tested, yeah, and do some praying at the same time. It's a beautiful thing, in my opinion. But yeah, they want churches to close, and they're doing it sneakily through this thing. Well, only 50 people can gather together in one public place. So,
I mean, when the British did that, didn't we revolt?
Yes, we did. The only real difference here is that at this point, when someone says the people are revolting, the Democrat rulers say, we know.
Dave Milner with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I want to ask you about Turkey. You follow these things because you're with the English Defense League on Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And can you tell us all about the English Defense League?
Well, basically, the EDL is a human rights organization, as they would put it in the UK, and a civil rights organization, as I would put it here in the United States. Their main focus is to ask the UK government and to work for equal treatment under the law for both non-Muslims and Muslims alike. All right, and that has been their focus. There's a lot more to it, and you can go to EnglishDefenseLeague.org.uk and find out about it in their mission statement. But that is the basis of it, and our show on Thursdays and Sundays as well at 3:30 p.m. Eastern focuses a lot on happenings in the UK and also, of course, around the world. And you brought up Turkey, and I you sent me that topic for the story you have that Turkey is accusing Greece of using Nazi-like techniques against the migrants, the thousands of migrants they've been herding towards the border. We covered this on Sunday, and Turkey has been doing everything they can to stress the Greek border to the point of sending Special Forces police, Turkish Special Forces police, to herd these migrants towards Greece and to keep them from going back into Turkey. Those same Special Forces police have been using drones to direct the activities of the migrants to try and break through Greece's border fences, including giving them wire cutters, by the way. And they've been arming these migrants with tear gas, with which they have been attacking Greek border guards. And a lot of people don't even know this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it is laughable for Turkey to be talking about Greece using Nazi tactics when Turkey is doing everything they can to overwhelm the Greek state. And honestly, Ken, I have no problem with them taking whatever measures they need to take, especially at this point where the Wuhan virus is rampant around the world, to protect their own people.
Exactly. Now, see, here's the query with that, because Turkey is a part of NATO. Greece is a part of NATO. What do we do? Whose side would we be on? because Turkey's been being very provocative, almost like Russia was provocative during the Obama administration, taking over Crimea, aiming for the Ukraine. And Turkey has basically said, we will open up our floodgates of immigration to Western Europe. 4 or 5 million people, we'll send them. We can do that. What do we do in this regard as the U.S.?
Well, Ken, I think what we can do, what we should do, is step back, because both of these are member nations of NATO, and there really is no right side to be on. It's, in this case, they should honestly, or we should, have seen to it that Turkey was kicked out of NATO a long time ago, especially after the coup, when they tried to unseat Erdogan, which is a shame they didn't do that. But Erdogan has proven himself to be a radical Islamist leader who tried to blackmail the European Union into giving him a lot of money. And when they didn't give him enough money, he opened the floodgates of the migrants into Europe, which, frankly, the European countries are just about gone at this point. So, really, it's a mess, and I honestly don't think we should involve ourselves as long as both nations are still part of NATO. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you here, because the Scandinavian nations under great duress, Norway, Sweden, under great duress from the invaders from the south, actually the Middle East. And I wanted you to talk about what they're doing to fight off the offenders who are, subjects to the Muslim Brotherhood.
What are they doing? Well, let's see. Norway, I believe this was Norway, just put out an educational video. Actually, they put out two. One of them was an educational video to try and teach children not to rape. Okay, now, wrap your head around that. Why do you need an educational video to teach children not to rape? I mean, what's wrong with this picture to start with?
Is that going to be on Sesame Street next week?
We had that on our program on Sunday, and it's just ridiculous. Stop, don't touch me there. This is my no-no square. And sadly, the woman who was fronting the video had more of a no-no rectangle, but, well, we'll get into that. Now, the other video that they used, and this was for adults, and this was just unbelievable, encouraged women to use the force to stop a rapist. To put her hand towards the rapist like it was a Star Wars movie and will him to, fly away or something. And the other piece of advice they're giving is to hit them with their purse.
Yeah.
This is the extent to which the governments, not just of Norway, but Sweden, Denmark, all of these countries are going to protect their women. In fact, now I don't remember which Scandinavian country it was. It might have been Holland, which is not a Scandinavian country, but it's close. There was a woman who actually used a pepper spray on a potential rapist, and she was arrested. Okay, that is the extent. They're not even letting their women defend themselves. The women who are in those countries can take self-defense classes. There has been a huge rise in the number of women who are taking those classes. Also, and this is something that Kel Fritzie reported years ago when she was still alive, they cannot keep brown hair dye on the shelves in those countries because the Middle Eastern and African migrants, the Muslims, immediately go after the blonde-haired women. So they have to disguise their own beauty in the hopes that they won't be raped. Just in the hopes. And the amount of rapes have gone up exponentially in those countries. The EU wants to do nothing about it. In fact, they want to cover it up and silence anyone in the press who wants to talk about this. And really, the only European countries that are doing anything about this migrant issue are the Visegrad countries, Czech Republic, Poland, places like that, who are basically saying, we don't want none.
Don't touch our women.
That's right. That's right. They don't want any migrants in their countries, and they're making no bones about it. And the EU is pressuring them hard to take these people, but they're not taking them. Hungary is taking a big leadership position in this. They're not doing it. And in fact, if you want to see a wonderful Christmas celebration and you want to travel to Europe to see that, go to one of the Visegrad countries, because the other countries in Europe are reaching a point right now to where they're afraid to hold Christmas celebrations because the Muslims will come in and they will attack the Christmas trees and things of that nature because they find themselves offended. That's how bad it's gotten.
Wow. Listen, just two quick things before I let you go. And we're talking tonight with Dave Milner from the Unpleasant Blind Guy program. You can find it on SHR Media. You can also hear him on Sundays and Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. on English Defense League on Blog Talk Radio. But we were getting the sign from Nancy Pelosi and the left that there were nothing but good people coming from Mexico. And apparently this administration knows the difference, that there's common sense, that many of those individuals that are coming across the southern border are not only threatened, but actually work with the cartels. The feds arrested over 600 alleged Mexican cartel members this week. I want to get your thoughts on that. Is that racist? Are we doing too much? Is this not the place for Americans to deal with?
We're not doing enough, in my opinion. And what we need to do is to stop worrying about whether or not something is racist. We need to worry about whether or not our people are protected. And certainly, again, with this Wuhan virus going on, we need to keep a close watch on our borders. And we do have good people on our borders. They are all the time coming across cases of smallpox, tuberculosis, things of that nature that are coming into the country through these migrants, not all of which are Mexicans or OTMs. You're also seeing people come in from China and other countries because that border is so porous. And as far as the crime goes, well, obviously Nancy Pelosi doesn't care about that because she is not affected by it. And I want to say, Ken, before you let me go, I watched Joe Biden's speech. I watched Bernie Sanders' speech, and for them to say or to intimate that Democrats could have handled this Wuhan virus thing better than President Trump is laughable. I encourage your listeners to look at any of our large cities that Democrats have run. Okay, you've got Baltimore, which is a rat-infested crap hole right now. All right, yep. You've got Detroit that looks like it's been bombed. You've got San Francisco, where you can't walk 2 steps without stepping on a used syringe or some poop. Los Angeles is pretty much the same way. Trash all up on the sidewalks and everything. These people can't even handle basic hygiene in the cities that they run. And they think that they can handle a major health crisis in the United States of America? Please.
No. They are the reason for the major health crisis in America. Ladies and gentlemen, my very, very good friend, Dave Milner. How can people listen to you during the weekend, this weekend on EDL?
I will be on the English Defense League radio show with host Jeff Mitchell at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. This is going to be until the UK changes to daylight savings. 4:30 p.m. Eastern Sunday, and that'll be until the 29th. And you guys can hear reruns of that stuff along with other things like reruns of my segments with you here at the Unpleasant Blind Guy page at Spreaker.com. I'm also available through the Western Free Radio Network. And I just want to say, Ken, thank you very much for having me on. Our times together are never long enough, but they're always cherished, brother. God bless you.
God bless you as well. May you have a Wuhan weekend.
Will do.
God bless you.
And that is it for this time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2020. Anno Domini. Now for Dave's Canes. Extras that help you navigate the new media world.
The dream deferred is real. You've been waiting for the Exceptional Conservative Network, and now it's here. Go to theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. Tune in and get the best in urban conservative talk. Stop dreaming. It's real.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick you bellows as host, and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific, on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York. The Lid himself, Jeff Dunnett. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunnett.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Good evening. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is featured on the SHR Media Network every Tuesday and Thursday night for 2 hours at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. Whilst manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ continues to radically change the world of leftists, one diaper at a time. Stop balancing your checkbooks. Stop cleaning your fish tanks. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is your magnet for truth, justice, obesity, a darkened studio, and late-night freedom. No United States of America freedoms were abridged in the making of this ad.
This is Shannon Wright.
And this is Michael Wright.
Reminding you to listen
to The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Every Monday through Thursday.
7 to 9 a.m.
Right here on shrmedia.com.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the issues affecting the USA. I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available wherever good podcasts can be found, like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
After 6 years covering terror and corruption, the Unpleasant Blind Guy is making a change. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker and YouTube through SHR Media and on the Western Free Radio Network as I team up with Jeff Mitchell, host of the English Defense League radio show on blogtalkradio.com. Check show pages for airtimes. It's the Unpleasant Blind Guy.
On ADL Radio.
There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Featuring the effervescent contrarian sackheads Clint plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Please note, some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty void in Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.